How did you attract a narcissist? You know what? A lot of people do, actually. Narcissists are all over the place. And what happens is we're not bad people for attracting a narcissist. And almost every female has encountered at least one narcissist in her life. So how does that happen? And how can you make sure that it doesn't happen again? And I'm going to be moving the yoga mat that is right at my feet. Hold on. I do yoga therapy in my office here too. Anyway, how do you get away from someone who's super self-centered or a narcissist? How do you make sure that you don't attract another one? Because you probably already have had one in your life if you're watching this right now, or you have one in your life right now. So how did it happen? Well, there's a couple of ways. Actually, there's 3 specific ways. The number one way is if one of your parents or both of your parents were a narcissist. So if you had a mom who was really self-centered and all about her looks, and she actually either saw you as someone who was competition or really dismissed you, then you might have attracted narcissists in your life, because your idea, the way you were wired, is that love means that somebody else is more important. Okay, so that can happen. That can also happen if you had a parent. Now, hear me out. If you had a parent who was really unwell and all of the attention had to go to them because they were unwell, and by no means did they mean to be narcissistic. They weren't. They were just more needy. And so the attention to that one parent who might have been unwell could have also had you wired to think that, well, you know what, in order to be loving, it has to be all about someone else. The other way that you might have attracted a narcissist in your life is if you're someone who likes to rescue and likes to help people. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Many of us like to help people. I mean, look, I'm a therapist. So a lot of people like to do that, and it feels good to help other people. But when you are someone who gets immense joy out of helping others, there are people out there that are going to take complete advantage of you, and you don't even notice it at first. Because you know what? If I help 10 people, 9 of them could really appreciate it, and they're going to say, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, and they're going to be awesome. But that 10th person is going to say, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, and be a jerk. So you have to really watch, because even the jerks, we have to give them compassion as well. That jerk needs help, but it doesn't mean that they need help from you. So if you're someone who is a helper and you like to rescue people, you need to bring it back and make sure that the people that you're helping are really, really even with you. You don't want to have an uneven relationship. So that can also be one way. And the number one way that a narcissist can hook their little claws into you is that you're vulnerable. Did you just have a breakup? Did you have a parent die? And here's the thing. It doesn't usually happen right when the parent passes away. It's not like your parent passes away and suddenly you wake up the next morning and you're out searching for a relationship and a narcissist comes along. It's usually 5 to 6 months later when you think that you've let it settle, that you think that you've really healed a little bit more from your parent passing away, especially if you were close to your parent. 5 to 6 months later is when you can be kind of this open person and you think that you're not vulnerable, and you're even more vulnerable 5 to 6 months later sometimes than right when your parent passed away, or right when you had any kind of a situation where you were more vulnerable. It could have been that you had a breakup. It could have been a million other things, but 5 to 6 months after that situation, that is when you became more vulnerable. When you're vulnerable, when you're not feeling well, when you're going through a bad time, if you're broke, that could be another time. If you're having financial issues, health issues, like I said, any kind of situation where you are more vulnerable, it's like the narcissist smells it, and they come in and they seem like they're this charismatic person, or they could also go victim route if they're going covert, or they could be both, because that's a whole head game. But they come along and they act like they are a knight in shining armor, that they're there to help you, and they might initially be helping you so much that you don't even realize, because you're vulnerable, that they're coming in and all that help is really just claws, okay? So they are the 3 ways that you might have attracted a narcissist without even realizing it. So the number one thing I want you to think about is that it is not your fault. We all can attract a narcissist, and it's our job to know the difference and to step away. and to really have that self-value, and to know that just because you did attract a narcissist doesn't mean that's your pattern, and just because they got their claws in you doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't even make them a bad person. They need compassion and they need to go away to get it. It doesn't have to be you. They need to go get help. Usually they don't. So passive aggressive and narcissists usually just, they don't even want help. But you don't have to be the person to deal with it or struggle. So based on that, I'm going to see my next client, and if you have any questions, inbox me and I will bring something else up. So I'll talk to you soon. Bye.